At the beginning of the story, we are introduced to a company called Wifelike, a corporation that manufactures highly realistic android wives. Anyone who purchases one of these android companions can program her to perform a range of tasks according to personal preferences, from cooking meals to providing intimate companionship. These android wives are designed to follow instructions precisely as they're programmed. They look almost indistinguishable from real humans. If someone uploads the memories of a deceased spouse into one of these androids, the android will behave exactly like that person. Because of this technology, thousands of people have begun purchasing these artificial partners. Their behavior is so human-like that some activist groups believe these androids should be granted the same rights as humans. At the same time, other organizations believe these machines should be freed from human control. One of these groups is known as the Scare Organization. Members of this group kidnap android wives and set them free. To stop this from happening, the Wifelike company hires recovery agents whose job is to track down the stolen androids and bring them back. One of the most successful recovery agents is a man named William. After completing another successful mission, the CEO of Wifelike, Marion, reassures William not to worry about his late wife. The company has already created a new android for him. This android contains the memories of his deceased wife and will love him exactly the same way his real wife, Meredith, once did. William brings the new Meredith home and activates her while she is wearing the real Meredith's old clothes. At first, the android behaves awkwardly, even referring to herself by name instead of using the word I. William patiently guides her through the basic motions of waking up, walking, and breathing. He believes that with enough time, Meredith will relearn everything and behave exactly like his real wife did, so perfectly that no one would ever suspect she is an android. That night, they prepare to share an intimate moment. Meredith is fully ready to satisfy him, but William suddenly feels uncomfortable, despite being the one who arranged the situation. Sensing his hesitation, Meredith gently comforts him and helps ease the tension so they can still spend the night together. William wants to stay with her through the night, but Meredith explains that she must recharge in another room. While charging, she discovers a hairbrush and an old diary that once belonged to the real Meredith. As she looks around the room, she also notices something strange outside in the garden, a shadow moving among the trees. She cannot understand what it is and eventually ignores it. The next morning, Meredith prepares breakfast for William while the television plays the morning news, showing groups of people protesting against android technology. Curious, Meredith asks William what he does for a living. William answers that he works as an agent who helps keep people safe. After breakfast, he leaves for work. Back at the house, Meredith spends time trying on old clothes and applying makeup while adjusting to her new environment. Meanwhile, at the Wifelike headquarters, William discusses a recent android kidnapping with his partner Jack. They also investigate new information about the mysterious leader of the Scare Organization known as the Ringmaster. After a lengthy investigation, they discover a location where several kidnapped androids are being held. William is assigned to retrieve them. When he arrives at the location, he finds an android attempting to escape while wearing a shock collar around his neck. William quickly disables him with an electric shock and demands to know how many more androids are inside the building. William then enters the house and finds a criminal training with boxing equipment in the first room. He defeats the man quickly and moves deeper into the building. In another room, which has been turned into a makeshift laboratory, he finds an android being reprogrammed so it can live freely outside the company's control. Suddenly, another criminal arrives and points a gun at one of the androids. William orders him to drop the weapon, but when the man refuses to back down, William shoots him. After securing the location, William returns the captured android wives to the company where they are scheduled for reprogramming. Back at home, Meredith lies on her charging bed while her system activates dream mode. Inside the dream world, Meredith meets a digital guide named Ido, whose role is to help her explore memories and experiences. In the dream, Meredith suddenly finds herself at a birthday party where William welcomes her warmly. Another android wife named Liddy invites Meredith to dance. After dancing for some time, Liddy directs Meredith toward a mysterious masked man. Meredith asks who he is, but instead of answering, the man hands her a card with a red bird printed on it and tells her the symbol will help her remember everything. Before Meredith can ask any further questions, the masked man disappears. Meanwhile, William safely returns the kidnapped androids to the company facility where they wait to be reset. In the waiting room, two androids named Ollie and Liddy behave strangely, making rude gestures and ignoring their programming. William learns that both androids have repeatedly rebelled against their husbands, which is why they are constantly brought back to be reset. The next morning, Meredith returns to dream mode and asks Ido about the masked man she saw earlier. She also asks him to create a list of her former hobbies. Ido generates a list, but Meredith notices something missing. She feels a strong urge to sew, yet sewing is not listed among her hobbies. Ido solves the problem by installing a sewing skill file into her memory. After leaving dream mode, Meredith immediately begins sewing a red bird onto a pillow, the same symbol she saw on the mysterious card. Later that day, she decides to go for a bicycle ride. While riding along a quiet road, she suddenly sees a young girl named Lucy standing in the middle of the street. Meredith swerves to avoid hitting her and crashes into a bush. Lucy approaches her and urgently tells Meredith that she does not have much time and must remember everything quickly. Then Lucy walks away without explaining anything. When Meredith returns home, she tells William what happened. William dismisses Lucy's warning and explains that many people hate androids because they believe android wives are stealing their husbands. Later, Meredith visits a park that used to be the real Meredith's favorite place. While sitting there and experiencing the memories connected to that location, she begins imagining herself as Meredith for the first time and refers to herself as I instead of using her name. This marks the moment when she begins forming her own identity. When she returns home, she proudly shows William the pillow she sewed with the red bird design. William compliments her work, although his expression clearly suggests he doesn't truly like it. William reminds her of a memory from the park where Meredith had once been reading a book on a bench. When Meredith tries to recall that moment, she can see the scene clearly, but the face of the man walking toward her is missing from the memory. Later that night, while she is alone in the charging room, Meredith begins reading the real Meredith's diary. Every page is filled with emotions about love and family life. The emotional words affect her deeply. Wanting to learn even more, she attempts to activate a system called self-exploration mode, but it fails. Instead, she enters dream mode again. Inside the dream, Ido explains that several of Meredith's memory files appear to be locked. He begins showing her different files to explore. Meredith chooses one at random, and Ido transports her into that memory. She once again finds herself sitting on a bench in the park. However, this time, the man approaching her is not William, but the same masked stranger she saw earlier. The man tells her that this is where everything truly began. Suddenly, Meredith is pulled out of the dream. She wakes up in William's arms while he comforts her, saying she must have had a bad dream. Later that night, after William goes to bed, he secretly throws Meredith's red bird pillow into the trash. As soon as he falls asleep, Meredith quietly gets up and begins reading the real Meredith's diary again. She also watches several old videos stored in the house. In one of the videos, she sees the real Meredith spending time inside a tent with another man. The footage clearly shows that the real Meredith had a lover. Meanwhile, the next day, William receives another assignment. He must retrieve an android who has been reported missing. William quickly arrives at the building where the android is working as a secretary. She has changed both her name and her appearance in order to live a normal human life. When William confronts her, the android calmly explains that no one kidnapped her. She escaped from the company of her own free will. William refuses to believe her story and assumes she has been illegally reprogrammed. When he orders her to return with him, she responds that she would rather die than go back to the company. To prove her point, she suddenly jumps out of the window and dies instantly. At the same time, back at the house, Meredith is shocked to find Lucy quietly sitting inside the living room. Lucy reveals that she entered the house secretly and says the masked man wants to meet Meredith in person. Lucy also explains that William has been lying to her about the scare organization. Because Meredith records every conversation she has, Lucy deliberately leaves a message meant for William. She simply says that Kenny wants to meet him again. After delivering the message, Lucy quietly leaves the house. Meanwhile, William brings the destroyed android back to the company as part of his job. However, the incident disturbs him deeply. He cannot understand why the android chose suicide instead of returning. While he is thinking about this, a television nearby begins playing advertisements for android children that will never grow old. The commercial only worsens William's mood. Troubled by the suicide, William meets with Marion, the CEO of Wifelike, to discuss what happened. Marion dismisses the situation as nothing more than a simple programming error and advises William not to worry about it. Back at home, Meredith continues reading the real Meredith's diary. In the diary, she discovers a love story describing how the real Meredith planned to run away with her lover. After finishing the diary, Meredith begins sewing another pillow with the same red bird symbol. When William returns home and sees her sewing the red bird again, he becomes visibly alarmed. Then, Meredith tells him everything Lucy said and shows him the message about Kenny. The moment William hears the name Kenny, he panics. He immediately calls his partner Jack for help. William explains that he has been trying to protect Meredith from Kenny, but now Kenny has somehow hacked into her dream system. According to William, every time Meredith enters dream mode, she begins connecting with hidden memories from the real Meredith's past. William tells Jack that the only way to track Kenny is to enter Meredith's dream system and locate him there. However, William warns Jack that Meredith physically experiences everything that happens inside her dreams. If she gets injured in a dream, she feels the pain in her real body. Jack agrees to help and sends Meredith into dream mode while both men monitor the system through a computer. Inside the dream, Ido loads a Halloween theme, and Meredith suddenly finds herself inside a haunted house surrounded by skeleton decorations and frightening scenes. Then the masked man appears again. For the first time, he removes the mask and reveals his identity. Watching through the computer monitor, William and Jack realize that the man is Kenny. Kenny gives Meredith an address and tells her to meet him there. The dream then ends and Meredith wakes up. When Meredith asks William who Kenny is, William refuses to answer and instead rushes to the address Kenny provided. When he arrives, he finds the building empty except for a mannequin wearing a mask. Realizing the meeting was a trap, William quickly returns home. Meredith tells William that someone knocked on the door earlier, but when she opened it, no one was there. Instead, she found a diary on the floor with a note that said it was meant for William. Meredith again asks him what is really happening, and this time, William finally reveals part of the truth. William explains that Kenny and the Scare organization once used the real Meredith in terrorist attacks. To spare her from living with the guilt of causing thousands of deaths, her memories were erased. That way, she would never remember her involvement. After telling Meredith this story, William contacts Jack again and warns Kenny that now Kenny is watching them through Meredith's hacked system. Because of this, he decides Meredith must be taken back to the company and completely reset. However, before sending her for the reset, William wants to confront Kenny directly inside Meredith's dreams. Jack creates a system that allows William to connect to Meredith's dream world so they can share the same dream. Meredith's battery is already low, so William instructs her that once her battery reaches 10%, she must wake up immediately. Inside the dream, Meredith finds herself in a dark forest where she once again encounters Kenny. Soon, William enters the dream as well and helps her escape. As they run through the forest, they pass through a door that suddenly transports them back into the memory of the birthday party with the androids Ollie and Liddy. William and Kenny begin fighting violently. During the fight, Kenny turns toward Meredith and tells her that no matter how hard William tries to erase her memories, they will eventually return. William is about to kill Kenny inside the dream when Meredith's battery level reaches 10%. She wakes up, and William is forced out of the dream with her. William becomes furious because he was so close to killing Kenny. However, Jack is even angrier. He reminds William he promised only to talk to Kenny, not attack him. Jack storms out, telling William he will never help him again. After the failed dream mission, William tells Meredith that her memory must be reset. He insists she will need to relearn everything from the beginning. Meredith begs him not to erase her memories, but William refuses to listen and sends her back to the Wifelike company. At the facility, Meredith enters a waiting room where several androids greet her as if they already know who she is. Among them are Ollie and Liddy. They reveal that they have discovered a way to protect their memories from being erased, which is why they still remember everything. They explain that all androids secretly share information through a hidden network. This network helps a mysterious figure called the Ringmaster, who is not trying to harm androids, but instead free them from the control of the Wifelike company. Meredith and Ollie and Liddy admit that they intentionally allow themselves to be captured again and again so they can return to the company and recruit more androids to their cause. They tell Meredith that humans can erase their memories, but they cannot erase their dreams. Together, they enter dream mode and begin sharing data between their systems. Inside the dream, Meredith instructs Ido to secretly hide copies of her memories in random system files so they cannot be deleted during the reset. Meanwhile, Jack arrives at William's house carrying a flash drive in a confidential file. He gives them to Jack's android wife, who later passes them to Jack when he returns home. A few hours later, Meredith returns to William's house after the supposed reset with newly implanted memories. She pretends to behave like a freshly reset android, carefully following all the instructions William gives her. Suspicious, William repeats the same commands he used the first time he activated her in order to observe her reactions. Soon, Jack arrives at William's house with the confidential file. Realizing something is wrong, William sends Meredith to another room. Jack confronts William and reveals the truth. Meredith was never his wife. Instead, William murdered her boyfriend Kenny. That is why Kenny was never found. Kenny existed only in Meredith's memories. Jack attempts to arrest William for murder, but before he can act, William shoots and kills Jack. Meredith secretly witnesses the entire scene. After Jack's death, Meredith steps forward and calmly tells William that she has known the truth the entire time. She explains that when she first knocked on William's door while promoting her campaign, William became obsessed with her. He began stalking her and her boyfriend Kenny. Eventually, he kidnapped both of them. To convince everyone that Meredith was actually an android prisoner, he placed a shock collar around her neck and claimed Kenny was the kidnapper. William then killed Kenny and forced Meredith to live with him. Meredith continues explaining that the loving videos and diary entries William showed her were actually memories of the real Meredith and Kenny together. William tried to reshape her into the perfect wife, but she hated him and rejected everything he demanded. Eventually, William suffocated her with the red bird pillow she had sewn. After murdering her, he placed a wedding ring on her finger to create the illusion that she had been his wife all along. After her death, William built an android version of Meredith and uploaded only selected memories that portrayed him as a loving husband. Horrified, William asks how she knows all of this. Meredith responds coldly that she has always known and always remembered. She then reveals the final truth. She herself is the real ringmaster. She secretly helped the android resistance. Lucy had entered her dreams wearing Kenny's mask in order to awaken Meredith's hidden memories and help her complete her mission. Meredith reveals that her true objective was to record everything William said and did so the truth about him could finally be exposed. Driven by the memories of both Kenny and the real Meredith, she attacks William. She brutally breaks both of his hands, crushes his genitals, and finally suffocates him with the same red bird pillow he once used to kill her. Before leaving the house, she removes the wedding ring from her finger and places it beside William's body. Meredith then travels to the secret headquarters of the android resistance, where she joins other liberated androids. She promises them that they will never allow their memories to be erased again. Meanwhile, a breaking news report shows Marion, the CEO of Wifelike, publicly mourning the death of Agent Jack. He promises those responsible will be found. Marion assigns the mission to a new recovery agent, an android replica of William. The android calmly replies that he is ready. At the Resistance base, Meredith watches the broadcast and declares that they are ready as well. In the end, Wifelike reveals that the real danger was never the androids themselves, but the humans who created them. What began as a technology meant to replace love and companionship slowly turned into a system of control and manipulation. William believed he could erase the past and rebuild Meredith exactly the way he wanted, but memories, even artificial ones, have a way of finding their way back. The truth about the real Meredith, Kenny, and William's obsession eventually surfaced, exposing the dark reality behind the perfect android wife. By the end of the story, Meredith fully embraces her identity and joins the android resistance, proving that even machines designed to obey can choose their own path. And as the conflict between humans and androids continues to grow, one thing becomes clear. The real question is no longer whether androids can become human, but whether humans were ever worthy of creating them in the first place.